Hey, welcome again to the second part of this series. So I'm just finishing up some of those touches of the body that we had made, tightening up portions to make it more natural and normal looking. I'm going to use the mask tool using Control M to select the bottom of the feet so that I can tighten it and put them in more of a normal position. I'm doing that with Control M once the object is deselected, and then it allows you to select the part that you want. Again, just tightening for certain parts that I think don't look quite right just yet.
Finally, someone let me out of my cage. Now, time for me is nothing cause I'm counting no A's. Nah, I couldn't be there. Nah, you shouldn't be scared. I'm good at repairs and I'm under each snare. Intangible, bet you didn't think, so I command you to. Panoramic view, look, I'll make it all manageable. Pick and choose, sit and lose, all you different crews. Chicks and dudes who you think is really kicking tunes. Picture you getting down in a picture too, like you lit the fuse. You think it's fictional, mystical, maybe spiritual hero who appears in you to clear your view when you're too crazy. Lifeless to those, the definition for what life is. Priceless to you because I put you on the hype shit. You like it? Gun smoke, you righteous with one token.
I'm going to add a little more detail to the back, and then I'm going to pull it outward to give it more of that fuller feel. Right now it's a little flat, but as I add the backbone detail and I will use the grab tool to pull it, it'll just make it look thicker. I see now that kind of scrolling back, I see that the head's too small, so I'll use the scale tool and just surround the entire head and scale it up.
You see with your eyes, I see destruction and demise, corruption in the skies from this enterprise. Now I'm sucked into your lives through rust, so not as muscle, but percussion to provide with me as a guide.
I'm just going to add a little more detail to the nose and then tighten it because he has a very thin nose. And then I'm going to deepen that section right near his nose and give him somewhat of a cheek. I'm cutting out the eyes using the Draw Invert tool, still in clay. And then I'll just use the Grab tool to pull out those features. I'm pulling up over the eyelids and to make the eye sockets. I use another object for the eyes. You don't have to, but I like to, just to make sure that it has that completely round shape. I use the Tighten tool to pull in all of those angles. His top eyelid is very, very small in most of his pictures, so I'm letting the brow and the eyelid be very close together. I'm just using the draw tool to infill some of the crevices and start blocking out those forms that I see on his pictures and whatnot. And I'm using the smooth tool to take away some of those sharp corners. Right there, I was just using a very thin draw tool to begin making the eyebrows. And then I add new spheres. You can also just hit Control V to make new spheres if you haven't selected anything, copied it. And and I just move those into the spot of my model that will be its eyes. And I tighten them a little more, and I'm just fitting it around the rest of the structures I built, and then you draw around it for that top lid, and you pull down, and you make that definition by pulling up and pulling down. It looks really weird right now, but just give it time. You can pull his eyes towards his nose because it was a little out. You use the draw tool to just build out that ear, and use the grab to define it even more. I'm going to use the draw for the lips. It's just draw clay. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to make a mouth cavity in case I ever wanted to animate this object. I do that by invert drawing, and also just grabbing and pulling backward. This makes a cavity so that in the future, if I need to use this model for that kind of thing, it won't be as tedious trying to make that possible. I do that for all my models. I use that tighten tool for its corner of the lip, and that it saves a lot of time. What have I become? I'm using the draw to make out the neck muscles and the upper shapes, and then I use the grab to drastically pull in the bottom of the neck. And you could have it all. My empire of dirt. I will let you down. I will make you hurt. If I could start again. I'm going to use a very small draw to add on the lip, and then I'll use the pinch and grab to pull it out. I really like how sometimes your model will just naturally or by itself create little textures like it did for the lip. Those small cuts are a really nice touch that make it look very realistic. I'm going to use the draw invert tool to really bring that ear out so it looks like it's sticking out of the head, and using the smooth to make it not look like a hole in the head. I'm going to pull out the shoulders because they weren't proportional to a body, and kind of pull the shoulders back. I'm just going to tighten the feet again. I like how the back looks a lot at this moment. and all I needed to do was add a little more detail, and you can do that. You can be pretty loose with the drawing that you do on the legs at this moment, because we know they're going to be pants, so a lot of the forms can be very thick. Looking at anatomy, pictures and images might help with, biceps and triceps, and I did that a lot when I first started. I still occasionally do when I'm trying to get things to look exactly right, if I need them to look a certain way. Scrolling out helps to see if the proportions are correct and if things are balanced. And now we're finally going to get into the hands, which are very complicated and at times can be very frustrating. There's several ways to do it, just like everything, but the way I do it is I build out the palm by spreading out the thumb first. I use the crease tool, or not the crease, the inflate tool to make a stump just like before, or I kind of just pull with the grab. Now I'm using the inflate to make those stumps, and you can just grab and pull. I'm going to give a slight curve to my finger since he's kind of in a stance ready to grab his gun. You do the same thing with the next finger. Try to get it to the same bend. It'll help in animation, and it'll also help just with general appearance. Giving those knuckles kind of a shape is easy. You just use the grab and pull right over the start of the finger. I'm gonna mask my last finger just to show that that's one way I've done it in the past as well. I'll mask my my appendages that I've already done so that it doesn't mess with the ones that I'm going to do, or vice versa. But that's just a precaution if you really like what you've already made and you don't want it to change. See, because now if my circle gets a little over the edge of anything, it'll start affecting all of it, not just one. These fingers are kind of thin, so I'm just using the inflate to thicken them. I'm giving it joints. This is very rough right now. I come back later and really touch it up at the very end, just in case things start adding or shaping it differently. I'm gonna make the thumb. That was just a grab. Just pull outward, give it the joint. And that's the basics of the hand and the basics of the face. overall, just like last video. Using those basic tools, a smooth grab, they help out a lot. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, comment what you understand, and if anything was helpful, or comment if you don't understand how to do something, and I'll do my best to clarify. Thanks, and have a great day.
Shallow grave by the riverside, marked off with a granite stone, and the day I died, let down for no good reason, chose to walk the way I did, and now whatever I see coming up ahead, now the devil's gonna come when the sun goes down. The devil's gonna come when the sun goes down. The devil's gonna come when the sun goes down.